What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. For this week's episode, I welcome my friend Seth to the podcast. This is his first time on the show, and really, we're just sitting around. No particular topic in mind, just general conversation. He and I. We always text. We always talk about recording together and being on an episode with one another, but we just hadn't gotten around to it until recently. So that recently is now, and that's going to be this episode. So go ahead and get buckled in, get prepared to hear a little bit of conversation about being awkward and having anxiety at parties. We talk a little bit about pro wrestling, and we talk about being minimalist and not wanting people around. So that's what you should expect from us. So go ahead and enjoy. Thanks.
Welcome to the show.
Say, give me the shit on the bottom shelf because it's the cheapest. I'm not fucking around tonight. I'm just trying. I always say alcohol tastes gross to me. All of it tastes horrible. So I'm not here for taste. I'm here for purpose. So I'm going to get the bottom shelf stuff. It's going to still get the job done. And I'm going to save a little bit of money. So that's how I rock and roll most times.
Yeah, I pregame harder than most people party. If I'm going out, I'm making sure that I'm going to pregame, get myself there. And then, you know what? I'm set.
I tend to do when my buddy Steve and I go out anywhere. I don't like IPAs at all. I'm not at all a fan. I think they taste horrible. But you give me a good 9% IPA before going out, I'm going to chug it. That's not what it's meant for, but I'm going to chug it. And then when I get to my destination, I'm just okay enough to kind of coast on some Miller Lights the rest of the night. So, like, I always have a plan, and it works out for me.
You gotta. Especially nowadays, if not even like with the whole COVID situation, just in general, if you're not careful, you never know what's going to happen. If someone's going to want to start a fight, or if you're going to get arrested, or this, because tensions have been high for so long. Hell, I'm 36 years old, and I remember when I used to drink pre and current 21, over 21. The time has changed, and I never really believed it when my old man's like, oh, back in my day, you just go home with a slap on the wrist and you get sent home, and then your parents would just, yell at you. And it's like, no. And then all of a sudden now as an adult, it's like, man, one of the kids I work with, he's 25, 26 years old. And so far he's gotten into a fight almost every single night he has been out of the bar. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'd rather stay home because people are nuts nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, when I go out I don't go out very often. I went out last week for my friend's birthday, and it was a fun time. Actually, her birthday by the time this comes out, it'll be last week. But since we're recording on a Friday night, it is tomorrow. Happy birthday, Jen.
Happy birthday, Jen.
She was my vegan guest a few weeks back. So hope she has a great time on her birthday. We all had a great time out at the Sandlot, which was a little bar stationed outside in the sand. It was pretty fun. But, when I normally go out, it is for something like small partied, like calm people. I just can't get down with the ideal of going out. Let's go out to the city and let's bar hop and roam and get into trouble, which we did roam around last week after, getting a little saucy. But it was all fun and gay. Like, I'm a silly drunk. I'm not an angry drunk. I like to make jokes. I like to laugh and giggle. I want to go up and hug everybody, and you're like, hey man, cool out. Let's be friends. Here, I'll buy you some pizza. Shit like that. But not everyone's that way. A lot of people want to fight when they get drunk.
Yeah, well, at the party that we met at, it was actually kind of, you were one of the few people who actually talked to me there. And you're like, oh, remember the first thing you told me? I'm not going to drink tonight. And the first thing you did, you started drinking. And I was like, okay. And So your listeners know, we obviously met at a nerd party type of thing, like a bunch of different people there, and I was the only Vermonter, didn't know anybody. I wasn't a part of any of the main group. I just knew one of the guys kind of vaguely, so I was there super nervous, super paranoid about what was going on. And then randomly you came over to talk to me, probably because I was the only guy not talking to anyone. And then we hit it off over like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all that stuff. You're like, yeah, I'm not drinking tonight. I'm just going to hang out and then I'm going to bounce. And I think after like 5 minutes of that, you and I were having a couple beers, just talking about like random things.
I'm pretty certain I showed up drunk.
Probably. I know I brought beer and I like only had maybe 2 of them because I was like, I don't know anybody here and I don't know who to talk to.
So, what's weird is I know people there and I still don't feel like I know anybody there. So every time that I've gone to a Skull Fest, I've always been super nervous because it's just crowds for me. But also there was one year, I want to say we didn't do it last year, but there's one guy, he got a little belligerent by, he's kind of just a stranger roaming around, but at one point he gets mad and he's, saying, I want to get on the mic. Like, and he, Maryland Phil was talking. He goes, you guys let the dinosaur kid sitting here. And he's been talking about nothing but dinosaurs the whole time, which is not true at all. But I remember, like, Bobby's trying to extinguish the situation, which he did, wonderfully. I'm over there standing next to Bobby, and I whispered to him, I was like, I could take care of this right now. I could put him down. He was like, no, just chill. But it's like when you're a stranger in someone's home, you don't know anyone there. It's not the impression you want to make with people. And even I know people that I know the family. Like I've known Bobby's family since, we're, in high school. And I don't even dare do that. I come in, I'm on my P's and Q's. I mean, that's just common courtesy, period, though. And, when I met you there, that was kind of the thing. You're chilling. I was chilling, like, yo, let's just chill, son. Like,
exactly. Yeah. And that was the thing, is like not knowing really the players of the game, so to speak. I was like, I don't know what to do. And even Bobby the whole time was like, you doing okay? He was checking in on me almost like every 10 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I get really bad anxiety in groups, especially if I don't know really where I am or who I'm around and anything like that, unless I can find somebody to gravitate towards, then I'm fine. But if it's just me running solo, I'm very stressed out about like large groups. And I never used to be, but it pretty much came with my sobriety of like stopping a few extracurricular activities that after I sobered up, it was game over. I would start to stress out about everything. And so being there I loved like meeting all the cool people and all like the different conversations. But when they were like, oh, we're going to be recording, like you can sit in if you want, I literally walked out of the house and I was like, I'm going to stand out here. Because I was at that time I was very paranoid. Like never been on a podcast, never really been on anything. When they were walking around doing the live discussions and, they're recording everything, I was trying to find a place where I could just stand back and hide, because I was like, I don't want to be here because, well, be at the party, but not actually be in front of the camera or whatever. I don't want to make waves because it's like, I don't know what's going on or what to expect. Hell, I didn't even know if I was going to get there, walk in, and then I was going to get beat up because it's like, look at this crazy Vermont hick.
Well, the funny thing is, I think that was the year that Maryland Phil took a lot of video, and I think the video got erased or something. He like had hours of video and it got erased. So, but no, I get you though. I understand and feel that completely with just going to a new environment. You don't know anyone there, especially it's a crowd. So you don't know what to expect. I mean, hell, even my first Skull Fest, I didn't know what to expect. I was just like, the fuck is this? It's like, these are friends. I was like, what the fuck is this? And, Bobby, we're sitting there out on the back porch or on the back patio. And he like shakes me, goes, yo, look what we did. Look what we made. And I was like, no, dude, you made this. This is you. This is your thing. We're just riding, son. Like, this is what you've done. We're just here. And he's done a good job at kind of keeping that community, being like the glue to that community of sorts. So, kudos to him. I don't know when there's going to ever be another Skull Fest because COVID's killed it all. And I know TFCon is down here. There's the Baltimore TFCon that a lot of people are going to. And in the same weekend, there's Baltimore Comic Con. So there's going to be a lot going on. I think that's kind of going to be a rough test to feel like how people are doing, how people feel about getting to groups. And then maybe, we'll see what he does upcoming for 2022, hopefully. But I don't know. It's just interesting, how those dynamics work with people and getting involved with groups. And some people can fit in pretty well. And then there's some people that they get into a group and they're ready like to start fighting.
Or and then there's other people like me who get to be a part of a group, and the first thing they do is their anxiety takes over. Like, it was, I don't even know if I actually told you this. When I was there, I hung out, like I drove 8-9 hours down, was there for a little while, and then when everybody was leaving, pretty much going to like either the hotel or to bed or whatever, I ended up driving home. So I was there for 3-4 hours, and then Bobby and the rest of the family were getting ready to go to bed, and there's other people starting to crash. And again, my anxiety kicked in, and I was like, I don't know, like I don't know what to do. You were the only person that talked to me, and you bounced out. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know. I think you said you weren't going to be in the next day because you had to work. So for my own weird, crazy brain, I was like, well, if the only person I was going to talk to is not coming tomorrow for breakfast, I might as well just call it a night and drive home. And so I ended up driving home, and no joke, it was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done, because I drove easily 16, 17 hours and did not sleep at all for a full day.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. And I even texted Bobby. I was like, thank you for the opportunity and this, that, and everything. He's like, where did you go? And I'm like, I drove home. He's like, why? And, alpha male in me was like, making excuses and BS and all that shit. And
I get it.
It wasn't until like a couple years later, or a little while, like a year later, I told him, I was like, straight up, it was just, I felt uncomfortable. My anxiety got me, and I had to get myself out of the situation. And it was nothing you or your family did, or really anybody did. It was just from pulling up, walking in, and walking around. I just never felt comfortable. And if me being who I am, if I'm not comfortable, I bounce. Like, there's no me fighting through it. It's, if I'm uncomfortable, I will see ya, goodbye. And I've been that way ever since I was in high school. You go to a party and the first thing you do is, all right, I'm not comfortable here, so I'm leaving.
No, but that's a good thing to understand and know, though, because you'll get people that have forced themselves into bad situations and accept it. And, over the years, it just gets worse and worse. So, on one note, that is kind of a good thing, though, that you are aware. It's like, look, I don't feel right being here, so I'm not going to force myself to be here. I know with me, first Skullfest, like I said, I showed up and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I don't know anyone here. I feel very out of place. And I always feel out of place, though. I just realized something the other day. I was at the gym and I'm talking to two teammates, and I realized, despite being on a podcast and talking with people and having conversations, I don't know how to talk to people. It's fucking weird. I'm
laughing because that's me. It's like, I have been told multiple times I have an intense personality of either I will joke around about every single thing under the sun and won't take anything seriously, or I just won't talk at all. And I'm a wallflower. And it's like, well, typically I am when we talk maybe every couple days, but our conversations will legitimately just stop randomly, and then we'll pick it up like nothing's ever happened. And most people are like, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on? Nothing. When I have nothing to talk about, then I don't waste your time and I don't waste my time.
No.
And I feel some people just don't have that ability.
No, like, I mean, I know when we first early on started like texting, and it was just one of those things where it's like we're going back and forth, and then it'll just be moments where it just randomly stops, and we'll pick back up like a week later, and then talk for like an entire day through text, and then just stop, and come back, a couple days later, and then again go through an entire conversation for a full day. Then so it's like not everything has to be all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many people have this ideal, like I'll see it on social media a lot where they're like, oh, well, if they don't reach out to you, then, they don't really fuck with you like that anyway. And it's like, well, you can reach out to them too, though. It goes both ways.
100%.
But also, also the thing is too, is like, fucking people have lives, like you got shit to do. Like, I mean, we both have, I guess they're not toddlers, they're older kids now, but we got kids though,
yeah, they're the same age, and into the same kind of, well, roughly the same kind of things,
yeah, it's like we all have our lives, we have things to do, we work, we have hobbies, we have activities, and when people come back together, and I think that's just adulthood though, because I remember being younger and seeing my grandparents, like my grandparents ain't got no friends. That sucks. And I realize it's not they don't have friends, they just don't see them every day like, we would see our friends as kids. So, as we are now older, I don't know. I don't see, I mean, my teammates, when I am training, but I don't really communicate with a lot of people too often. Like, again, with Bobby, we might see them quarterly, if even that. I don't even think it's that often. But, see them, maybe I'll go in and do a Nerd Rage episode. Steve, he comes over now every week so we can record. But before that, we saw each other maybe twice a year. Things like that. It's just like people are busy. We have lives. So
yeah, there's very few people that, one, I will reach out to. Two, I legitimately care about what is going on in their life. And most importantly, three, that if shit ever hits the fan, I want to know to make sure if I can help them out in any sort of way. And generally, the people that are on that list are 9 times out of 10 in one hand.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather have it that way because, I don't know, like maybe some of your listeners have lived this life too, but once you become sober of certain things,
mm-hmm.
you have we're going to be brothers forever, we're going to be family. You get the complete 100% filler of all these different things. But once you become sober, guess what happens? They're vapor. You don't see them anymore. You don't hear from them. You don't know anything about them. And it's like, well, I thought we were going to be friends. I thought we were going to stay family, like the proverbial family. And then you get, oh, well, you changed, man. Oh, because I decided to clean up my act. Like I decided to actually make a life for myself.
Nope.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And again, I think we said that it comes with adulthood. And I don't know, like for me, the less people I have in my life, the less drama that is there, which is more important to me than anything else. Is I enjoy living a life of not really solitude, but just of calmness. And it's like with you, it's like, yeah, we may not talk for a couple days, but I know that if you need me, you'll get a hold of me and I'm there. Yeah. If I need you, I can get a hold of you and you're there. And those are the type of friendships and those are the type of things that I want to keep, fostering and making sure that, they're alive and well compared to the fake friends or the fair weather friends that only want you when they need you. But if you need them, they're like, you don't ever see them. There's always an excuse.
Well, there's also with that's that party lifestyle that I don't want to say party, but you're a fun guy because you're out, drinking or you're out smoking or, whatever, you're out there getting crazy with us. And when you take away getting crazy with people, suddenly they don't want to hang out with you. They call you a buzzkill, and it's like, oh, I mean, and that I went through a period where I stopped drinking, and I stopped drinking to prove a point to myself because I had gotten a DUI, and I was like, well, look, man, I need to, I need to slow down. I was going through a really, really like fucking rough window, and I got the DUI, and I was like, you know what? During that period, I was like, I need to prove to myself that I don't need to drink to have fun. So I would go out with my friends, and I wasn't drinking, and I still get invited out and everything. And everyone's like, cool. But you started getting a call less and less, and I didn't start drinking because of losing my. As a matter of fact, it was kind of a relief because I felt like, well, I don't need to hang out with those people. I don't like them. I started like, drinking kind of here and there. As a matter of fact, discounting podcast recordings where I'm drinking a mug of wine, I probably binge drink once a year. If even, that it might be something like, like again, we went out last week for my friend's birthday, but even before that, I was like, when was the last time I drank? I'm sure I recorded and I was telling someone I was drunk, so I don't know. Like, you guys know better than me. But either way, there is a thing to that where people, they're like, you change or you're no fun and da-da-da. And it's like, well, sorry that, me, going down a downward spiral, was, part of your entertainment, but I got to change my life. I got to get my shit together. So, kudos to you. Kudos to me because, I like to pat myself on the back. Some might brag, not me, but let's bring it home real quick and, kind of get into a more not uppity mood, but
yeah,
change of gears. You're a wrestling fan, correct? You've been watching any the programs lately, AEW, WWE, NXT, stuff like that?
So I, in full transparency, am a current fair weather fan of wrestling. I would love to be more of a fan of it. However, with WWE they have a lot of shenanigans going on behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And AEW was turning into WCW of the 90s, like bringing in all these celebrities, bringing all these stupid gimmicks in and all this other stuff. And yes, I know pro wrestling is all about the gimmicks. And yes, I know that's what sells is the hoopla, the pageantry and everything. However, recently finding out that WWE has been letting go so much talent lately.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, they had this young fella, Bronson Reed, who just won the NXT US title. They cut him loose. Then finding out, okay, well, what's his name? Aleister Black. They had a diamond in a rough there, and they let him go. And now it's like, how do you do this? Like, why do you guys bring in all this talent and steal them? And then all of a sudden, oh, okay, now we got to find something for them to do. Oh, we have nothing. Okay, let them go. Or just keep them stale and stagnant.
Yeah. Well, and they let go of Bray Wyatt, which was a huge one.
I do not understand that idea. Like, in the course of a couple of years, they had the biggest heel faction in NXT. The Wyatt family was massive, huge success. Bring them to the main roster. They had so much great potential, and they cut them loose. And yes, the sadness of Brody Lee, his passing.
Yeah.
But he left and he started flourishing and being the character who he wanted to be. Then I was like, okay, Eric Rowan, I could kind of understand because he was injury prone. He's a big guy. He's a little sloppy, but he's a big guy, so he knows what he's doing. And then Braun Strowman, it's like they were literally sending to the moon, and they decided, okay, we're done with you. And he was making the changes. He, in his body, his style, his mic performance, his everything was starting to evolve, and they're just like, okay, we're done with you. And to lose Bray with the Fiend, it's like, you not only have one of the best gimmicks, and I'm a fan of pro wrestling since the late 80s to early mid 2000s. So I've seen a lot. I've worked with professional wrestling organizations. I have been to live shows. You have an amazing resource, amazing talent, and you're like, okay, we're done. For what? Budget cuts? Okay, why don't you lose some of the big corporate executives like Vinnie Mac or this Nick Khan guy who are literally destroying the company and destroying gimmicks of people just for your own laugh. Vince has gone on record saying that he's buried talent just to get a laugh. Prime example, Dolph Ziggler. Because Dolph Ziggler was a big Pat Patterson guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Vinnie Mac was like, you know what? I'm going to bury him just because it's funny for me. And because it's to get back at Pat because I think it's funny. It's like, do you realize you are purposely fucking with somebody's career and their livelihood and also creating a chaotic work environment for someone to go and is like, yeah, I am not getting a push. I'm not allowed to do or be who I want to be because you are messing with the guy who brought me in and you think it's funny. It's like, what is going on there?
I mean, ego.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the big thing to it. I mean, but when you even look at that locker room, you know, the people that they're letting go, but then they brought back Ava Marie.
Yeah, because what does she do? Okay, let's see. She got bigger implants. She's gotten thinner. She picked up a Rain sponsorship.
Yay.
And she has an Instagram, Twitter following. Okay.
Yeah. That's not gonna cut it.
Yeah.
No,
but
I don't. Yeah, all that shit is wacky.
And then AEW was like, I had high hopes for him as being the next big, promotion. But I do feel, like to quote Jim Cornette, I feel Tony Khan got, fed a bunch of bullshit in order to sign the Young Bucks and a bunch of their friends. And some of the gimmicks that they have and the different things, I just can't agree with. And some of their booking strategies, I don't really get. It's like you bring in these monster heels and then you bury them. Okay. Or you bring in these people who are supposed to be high flyers, and the first thing you're doing is not letting them be who they want to be because you want to push this person or that person.
Yep.
That is a friend of the Young Bucks. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna go on record. The Elite Young Bucks, Kenny Omega thing, pandering to the Space Jam movie, wearing the uniform and the gimmick and the whole 9 yards. I'm sorry, that to me was like, okay, I'm done. I'm walking away again. I'm gonna go to like Impact or ROH or back to New Japan.
I mean, there's definitely enough pro wrestling out there, but then then there's the stuff that's pushing on. Again, obviously WWE, because of the Fox and USA contract, AEW being on TNT. I can't remember what was it. TNA, I think, is somewhere on TV. Maybe it's on YouTube.
They are on Twitch right now.
Twitch.
Last
okay,
I
that's
know.
what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
They're on Twitch. I thought NWA was on Twitch.
They actually are too, but they're also NWA Power is on YouTube.
Okay, so then I got them flip flop. But I mean, that's the thing. It's like trying to watch any of this because just out of habit, I turn on WWE. Like right now, I got SmackDown on in the background. And honestly, I haven't watched SmackDown in probably a year, just because Friday night is a weird night for wrestling for me. But I'm down here in the basement, and I was like, I got to have a background sound going on, so I put SmackDown on, and it's just habit. WWE I know is there, so I throw it on. Now on a Wednesday night, I know TNT has AEW. Actually, what am I even thinking? The Rampage is on. AEW has Rampage on Friday nights now, but either way, you have so many other options. It just becomes this game of like availability and trying to find things easily. At least for me, I'm not too savvy on finding things on the internet to watch because I don't trust a lot of things other than porn sites, and even those will give my computer AIDS. But it's like I'll go to a site, it's like, oh cool, I can watch New Japan. Then all of a sudden it's like, hey, download this to watch the rest. It's like, download what? Okay, click. Haha, gotcha, bitch.
Yeah,
So,
I even had that when my buddy hooked me up with the New Japan streaming service, and I went on there and I was like, oh, this is cool. And 5 videos in, like not even like full matches, like highlight matches, all of a sudden my tablet that I was watching on literally just stopped working, dead. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, oh, because their site crashed. It's crashed my tablet. So I was like, all right, well, now I got an expensive paperweight.
Yeah, it's just looking at pro wrestling period. It's like it's there as its form of entertainment, but when you see WWE doing what it's doing, and honestly, I don't know what they're doing. I think Brock just came back, which is
again, he needs that paycheck.
Yeah, it was weird because so SummerSlam, when that was on last week, I just happened to turn on the Peacock network and saw, SummerSlam's on right now. I was like, what? That's fucking weird. So I, turned it on. And I was like, oh, SummerSlam is on a Saturday night. This is really weird. You see Becky Lynch come back, which I'm going to be honest, I was excited about that. Just because I've always been a fan of that character, and then her leaving to have a kid and then coming back. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I spoiled. So I passed out and I woke up the next morning. So I turned it back on, pick up where I left off. And I'm on TikTok and I'm flipping through and I see, as I'm watching the, who was it?
Bianca Belair. Oh, sorry.
No. The John Cena and Roman Reigns match. And I'm watching that match. And I was like, okay, well, I got a feeling, Roman Reigns is going to probably win it anyway. It makes no sense to give John Cena the title. So you know how this is going to go. And as I'm flipping through TikTok, WWE's TikTok scrolls by and I see the aisleway lit up in red. I was like, oh, what are they showing? I'll watch the Becky Lynch, walk out again, because I didn't have the sound on. And I'm watching, I see a silhouette, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm still watching. I was like, oh, fuck. And, just like, I'm like basically seeing this probably 5 minutes before the end of the match. So I ruined that surprise for myself. But it was like, oh, okay, cool. Brock's back. All right, what are we doing with this, though? Is he still going to be on this part-time schedule, as they always let him have? And then you go over to Raw, which I mean, I understand why they have the brand split like they do because they have so many people on staff. But I don't know. I watch Raw and I'm bored to tears. I watch SmackDown. They have more talent, but it's just weird to watch wrestling on a Friday night for me, even though I'm not going anywhere. I'm at home. But
yeah,
still.
I'm with you on that one. It's like I feel like I should be watching or doing something else.
Yeah, it's like Friday night, 8:00. I wonder what the ratings are for them. I wonder what those numbers look like. I don't know, but it doesn't seem right. But I mean, they clearly have the better talent, the microphone, users on SmackDown. But there's something weird about it. So I don't know. But I try to stay in the pocket and watch it, and it's just like, ugh. Like, you're killing me right now, but I'm going to keep watching it because, I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah. Like as much as I will bash AEW with some of their choices, I watched the CM Punk comeback and I watched his promo, got the tangles, like the super fan, like it's still real to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm cool with this. And then, what was it? Like his next promo about talking about, when they're chanting yes, 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 and he has that whole, you have to be patient for that. So it's like, okay, they got me hooked on that because I'm excited. But actually, what I've been doing, I've gone back to watching old like AWA, Smoky Mountain, early WCW, like when it was NWA, WCW, and watching the early matches like from the 80s to the 90s. And I literally have a laundry list of a playlist on my phone now that when one of my buddies got like upset with some of the things going on, he's like, man, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, here, do what I'm doing. I'm going back to like the 70s and 80s and just seeing how it evolved. And it's like the fans are way more rabid. Like the promos were a little bit harsher, but that's also because they weren't scripted. They were allowed to be who they wanted to be. And it's like, okay, this makes me excited to be back a part of wrestling again, is seeing this kind of thing of like where it all started and like, and who was the super heel and what made them the heel.
It's funny because with Peacock, so I used to use the WWE Network, but I used it at kind of like a here and there because it was $10 a month. So every so often I'd used to just make fake email addresses and do the trial for a month.
Oh, that's like, smart.
And it was like, I have 20 email addresses, dude. Then I stopped. I was like, look, dude, it's just pay for it. So I started paying for it. And what I would do is, you know, for the big four, Mania, SummerSlam, Rumble, and Survivor Series, I would always, so it was always guaranteed that I was going to get it for at least a month, 4 months of the year, at least. So during, you know, the month that I got the, you know, signed up for it again, you know, pay my $10, I'd go back and watch old WCWs, old ECW even, you know, stuff like that. Then when Peacock, I guess they did the deal with Peacock, I think Peacock's $4.99, and you still get the same library. So it's like, oh, that's an even better deal, and I get to watch Bernie Mac. Okay, cool. I think I could watch Bernie Mac and Good Times on Peacock and Punky Brewster, shit like that. So shit is wild. But now that's what I do. I go back and just watch old like events from like the early 80s. It like WWE up to like I want to say maybe 91, and then WCW and NWA stuff prior to that. And it's just fun to watch it. And you know, you just got the run of documentaries lately with A&E, and then Dark Side of the Ring as well. So
I love those I could watch that all the time. Like, give me more of those kind of style of documentaries.
Yeah,
I find it completely fascinating and a lot of fun to watch, because it's like you learn more about like these people that you never knew even existed, or not really existed, but you didn't know really what happened. Like, for instance, Gino Hernandez episode, the Dino Bravo episode, were like had me like, I didn't know this was what happened to them. Like, I knew who Dino Bravo was because he was this like big dude, this Canadian dude that, you know, had the bleach blonde hair. Didn't know any more than that. And then to find out that he was such a huge superstar in Canada and that he had these ties and those ties to different mobs and stuff like that. It's like, okay. Oh, wow. And it kind of was like, you don't see that. You see these people as these larger than life characters, and you think, like me personally, when I was that young, I thought that was real. That's who they were. When they got done, they went home. They were their family. If they were a bad guy, like Dr. David Schultz, like I thought he was legitimately a real bad guy. And then you see them now, and it's like, no, they actually were genuine. They were playing a character, and that's just how they had to be for that time for people to take it real and take it seriously.
There's a couple of the Dark Side of Rings, which I haven't watched them all. There's still a couple that I have waiting off to watch, but I mean, obviously the Owen Hart one, just, you know, just that event, that in your house event when he passed, you know, you watch that and just see the behind the scenes and just see what's going on there. The Chris Benoit, obviously, so I was a huge Chris Benoit fan growing up.
Oh, I'll be honest, I still am.
Yeah,
separated the man and his career. Like, what he did was deplorable and horrible. but I just can't take away from like his style and what he did. At least not yet.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just one of those things. It's like I can separate the two, thankfully. But it
Well,
was
they,
just the way they handled that episode was good.
yeah, it was. I don't know. It's just that there was something about watching that. Just when you see the upbringing from like the beginning for that dude when he was fighting up in Stampede Wrestling with Jericho, and just kind of growing and growing WCW. Then they came over to WWE. His match with Kurt Angle was just still one of my favorite matches. It's just that dude. He just brought something different to it. And yeah, what he did was horrible. But never ever forgiven that. It's fucking, just terrible.
Yeah.
The Brian Pillman episode, because I was also a huge Brian Pillman fan as a kid. Because I was a fan because I knew he was a football player.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, he played for the Bengals. So that it always stuck in my head. I always cheered for that dude. So watching that, and then just kind of it coincided with the Stone Cold A&E episode, so you get to see kind of the Hollywood Blondes angle from the Pillman side, when they're doing Dark Side of the Ring, and then from the A&E biography side with Stone Cold. So it was fun, just watching that, and then the Brawl for All that when WWE.
Yeah. I remember watching that as a kid, and who was I? I was a big fan of like The Godfather and all these people. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are gonna win. And then to see how that turned out was like, I never expected Brad Gunn to even do that. I was like, oh, he's gonna get knocked out. Like, there's no chance.
Yeah. He just looked doofy, and it's like,
yeah. When a dude looks like a middle-aged dad already going into the ring, it was hard for me to take him seriously.
It's funny. I feel like I might. I think after we finish recording, I'll probably go to bed, just because wine. But I feel like this weekend, what I might try to do is just go see if I could track that all down, if they even have it on Peacock, and try to watch that in its entirety, because I just might watch the episode again. Just watch the Dark Side of the Ring over, because the breakdown of that was really good too. And then when you find out what it really all came down to is that Vince Russo was a dickhead.
Yeah, I don't like him.
No, he's a piece of shit.
I'm on Jim Cornette's side on that. I will openly admit, when I was younger, I was not a Jim Cornette fan, and as I've gotten older, I've realized the hardcore deathmatch style is not for me anymore. The flips, whatever, as he puts it, the comic book or video game style, like wrestling, or hey, look what I'm doing, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is just like, if you're not taking it seriously, I'm fine with that. But also in the same breath, don't make a mockery of something that, I took seriously as a kid.
Yeah. Well, there was, after SummerSlam, MVP,
I love MVP.
Yeah. I wasn't watching it during his era. Back then I just kind of took a break from wrestling, but with him coming back and cornering Lashley, and that's another thing too, is like whoever's running the booking, they don't give factions enough time to work. Like the Hurt Business could have been something special.
Did you had Shelton Benjamin, you had Lashley, you had obviously MVP, and then what was it, Cedric Alexander?
Yeah.
Like you had literally every kind of style covered of professional wrestling. Like you had the high flyer and Cedric Alexander, who, in my opinion, is one of the best. That pisses me off that Vince buried, because I loved him when he was in ROH and everywhere else. Shelton Benjamin has reinvented himself more times to show that, I have it. And he has the pedigree because he was roommates with Brock and he helped Brock. Mm-hmm. You have Bobby Lashley, who is a legitimate, scary badass. And MVP, yeah, he squandered and he admitted himself that he pissed away his first run. But then he went to New Japan. He went to, I think, ROH. He went everywhere and didn't rest on the, hey, look, I'm MVP, from get it from WWE. He's like, no, I'm this. I'm going to better myself. I'm like, and he's also a great mic guy, and he has an amazing voice.
Yeah.
To kind of like grab your attention.
Absolutely. On his Instagram, and this kind of goes into, again, fans of anything just taking it too far. He had put a message he received on Instagram because someone was upset because they beat Goldberg and they called him the N-word several times. And
Goldberg's a piece of shit. I'm sorry, I can't stand him. I've never liked him since he was in WCW when he first came in. I didn't understand him. Like I don't care. I don't like him.
I think he's the worst of the worst when it comes to what is it? Being kind of
professional, a worker.
Yeah, it's like, he comes in and it's like, well, I want this. I expect this. You give me this because I'm Goldberg. And it's like, look, dude, like you just like how the Stone Cold gimmick came about. It just came about and Steve Austin ran with it. Goldberg could have just as easily been anyone else too. And he's resting on this thing where he's like, I'm bigger than the gimmick. I'm this.
Yeah, he became the ultimate warrior of our generation. Yes. Because to him, he was worth the millions and millions, and it's like, you're only worth the millions because you were fed easy talent to beat up, and you were given a rocket ship literally strapped to your asshole to launch you up into the moon.
Yeah. He is that guy that, people didn't want to work with. It's like he's just, wasn't professional. He again had these demands that just were unreasonable, and here we are. But basically, someone was upset about that match with Bobby Lashley, which I'm going to be honest, when they brought him in to feud with Lashley, I immediately freaked out because it's like, dude, they're going to give fucking Goldberg the belt again.
Oh, like what they did with Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens was a dominant champion, and he was in squash matches after squash match. Oh, and then lost the belt in like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, I mean, Goldberg came in with the whole Bray Wyatt match. It was like, I'm not going to lose to Bray Wyatt. I refuse. I'm not taking the dive to him because what does that look like? Me coming in as the hero, and I lose to the ultimate villain. It's like,
well, it's called building a storyline there, Chief.
Yeah, it's called, you have this dominant character right now that's plowing through everybody. Get in line, But whatever it may be, basically this fan got upset and kind of started chewing into MVP, and MVP, he was like, so I guess this means I'm doing good. I'm doing a good job then. People were really that upset, at a scripted match.
So you're going to laugh at this. It's one of those things for me. When I grew up, I was not a Hulk Hogan fan. I absolutely despised Hulk Hogan because I felt like, when you can just tell somebody's fake and they're not being genuine, that was Hulk Hogan to me. And I just couldn't get behind him. And when I was talking to one of my buddies about it, like, oh yeah, what were you a fan of? Were you a fan of like Ultimate Warrior or whatever? I'm like, honestly, the people I was a fan of, you're going to laugh, it was like Roddy Piper, because he seemed like he was a guy who was just upset with everything. And he just, he talked. And the previous show I was on, I took a lot of inspiration from Roddy Piper of just whatever you talk about, I could talk about it too. Just when you think you know everything about me, boom, I change, when you have all the answers, I change questions.
Yep.
And it's like, I love that aspect of him. I love the fact that he was willing to push the boundaries. And I'm like, I'm also not a big fan of a lot of the big, like, I would never want to be a world champion of any promotion. And most people are like, well, why not? I'm like, because I don't want to be the face of a company. I would be like William Regal, where it's like, I want to be the hand. Like, let me come in, put in a good match. Let me give me the IC title, because that's where the workers were. That's where the people who knew their craft, they were willing to do whatever it takes and show how great the show is. With the champions, the Hulk Hogan's or the Ric Flairs, they just were a face and they took the money and they didn't really care. It's like, you don't have any pride in what you do. I'd rather put me in the mid card and let me have fun and put on excellent matches compared to main eventing and all the hoopla that goes with that.
Well, there's also a pressure that comes with that too, though. I remember, again, I wasn't really watching. There was a period where I think I want to say 2000, let's say 2004, up through really recent that I stopped watching. Maybe a 10-year window, we'll say 10 to 12-year window. I stopped watching. But inside of that window where I wasn't watching, you had people like Christian and Jeff Hardy becoming champion, which, again, that's more of a, these guys have been with the company, they've been working hard and, they're climbing type deal, I guess. But there was always this weird feeling of, especially when those two won the title, there's always this weird feeling of it just, you guys did so much good stuff in tag team action and, even, lower tier matches, if you will. And, you put them up there in that title area, heavyweight champion area, and it just got weird. Even with Edge, and I'm an Edge fan. I like the dude, but it's like you take these guys. It's like as soon as you put that heavyweight title around their waist, it's almost kind of like you said, they're the face of the company now. It's like they're on billboards. They're this new entity, whereas you got your guys that are like Sami Zayn. Your good workers. You got workers that it's almost like Vince didn't know he had these workers. Like Bo Dallas apparently was a really good worker, and someone else that they just got rid of. It's okay to have, like, one thing I'll say with AEW, it's like not everybody's got to be champ. I mean, I don't know, maybe it seems like it now, but it's like you just get good random matches just for the hell of it. It's not necessarily, or at least at one point, it wasn't always necessarily building towards something. It was just like, just put these guys together. Let's see how they do in the ring. All right, good chemistry, and, we can work with somebody else type deal. Whereas WWE, it's like they start building towards something and they'll strip it away just as fast with no explanation, though.
AEW, I will give them credit. They have a lot of young, hungry talent that also helps too. People who have never been on TV or people that are trying to show off like what they can do. So they're very, very hungry and they want the brass ring. Every one of them that I've seen, no one's willing to rest on the laurels of their name because they know they don't have a marketable name. They don't have something that they can fall back on. So they want to be the best and they want to be in the forefront. My only issue I have with AEW is literally just some of the hokey gimmicks and that there's too many factions. Yeah. There is the factions with the best friends, with Orange Cassidy. There's the Elite. There's the Good Brothers who are part of the Elite. Then there's Jericho's thing, MJF's crew, who I'm going on record, MJF is the best heel mic guy since Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yes, that's a fact. My wife acknowledged him the other night. She was like, "Who the fuck is that?"
He is chef kiss. Like when you get Jim Cornette to say he's better than me, that means you're doing something good. But then you also have Taz's faction, which is like, how did Taz, who was FTW, fuck the world, who hated being a part of a group, why does he have a group? Okay, I can let that go because Hobbs he needs a mentor and he looks like he could be the next big killer. Okay, I got you. I'll let that one slide. But then it's like, then there's all these other factions that are seeming to pop out of nowhere. And it's like, it reminds me too much of New Japan, where New Japan, there's always a group. When people come in, there's always a group. And people like Lance Archer, who is by himself, or Mox, it's like, okay, well, are they going to stay by themselves or are they going to put him with a group? Okay, they gave Mox Eddie Kingston, who is another amazing mic guy and a great worker. but it's like I hope they leave some people just to run solo because I think some people can.
I wonder if that though comes from, in the 80s. And I guess when I think factions, I also think more so just tag teams. But I mean, obviously, in the 80s, you had a lot of good tag teams, just groups, period. And, it was kind of what Survivor Series was kind of built off of. And I wonder if, that's just always been kind of a vernacular that people wanted to cling to, in other organizations, just like, always have a group, always have a team. And, you build off of that. But there is such a thing as, too much of it. Because, yeah, like with AEW, it's like watching college football with the super conferences. It's like, Jesus Christ, how many, cliques can you have? Someone's got to fight, someone else, so, you can't just all be a group here, a group there, a group there, a group there. It's like, is there anyone running solo? Like anybody by themselves?
And that's the problem that I'm having is like, I feel that if you flood the market with one thing, so like factions or groups, like more than not just tag teams, I mean like teams of like 3, 4, or to like Dark Order, which is like what, on and off like 10 guys occasionally.
Yeah.
It becomes it loses its punch, it loses its character and like its originality. Because it's like, okay, well, now we got another one. Oh, we got another one.
It's like when you looked at WCW in the mid 90s, I'm pretty sure the NWO was the only faction.
Yeah, and because other than that, there was at that time, there was no factions, there was tag teams.
Yeah. I mean, WWE, they had they had the Nation, they had DX, they had the Ministry, they had things kind of, but not all at once.
Yeah.
It's kind of rotating. The Heart Foundation, Evolution, it always was kind of a rotating thing with the WWE. So there's never more than 3 factions at once. And they tend to have kept it, 5 or less. And, again, looking over at WCW, they only had the NWO, which at some point eventually became the whole goddamn company.
Poor Virgil.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, man. Like, it's like when you look over there, it's just like they're just signing people at that point. It didn't even matter. Like AEW, at least they're kind of, they're signing people too, but it's not completely as bad as WCW where, you're a free agent, we'll take you. Like, we'll give you a paycheck.
Yeah.
It was
you want multi-millions for doing nothing? We got you, girl.
Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, they had money to burn. But it's just crazy now looking at AEW with that. It's like, and I'm enjoying AEW. I'm starting to warm up a little bit more to it. It's just, with the habit of WWE being there, it's like, oh, okay, let me go ahead and turn this on. And even with NXT, I've tried watching NXT, and for some reason, I can't really get into that. I don't know.
Well, you're probably not going to be able to get into NXT much longer because I think they're closing the doors on that.
No.
From what I heard, I could be wrong on that. It could be all speculation, but I heard that NXT is going to be going by the wayside and due to more quote unquote budget cuts. And it's like, okay, like you guys made a profit of like some odd $1 billion. So you cut like, Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, all these other guys. When is it going to just be too much? Like how much? But then again, I've also heard the rumor and read the rumor that WWE wants to sell, or should I say the McMahons want to sell and that the Peacock may want to buy it or pick it up. So they're trying to do like what anybody does. You lighten up the talent pool as much as possible so they have key players and they can rebuild how they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that as well. It's funny. Anytime I do go over to record Nerd Rage, before we get on air, Pinkerton and I will talk about pro wrestling. And he was mentioning that there's a rumor that it looks like the McMahons are trying to sell and all these cuts, it's because of that. So I've heard it, a little bit there too. And it makes sense, but when's it going to happen? Because it seems like that's been kind of the talk for a little while. And
Oh
they've
yeah,
been cutting for a
when
while.
you're 100% correct, because when the McMahons were selling stocks, I know Triple H and Stephanie took a pay cut, and then they started selling their stocks. They're like, oh, they're going to sell. They're going to sell. The problem is, I don't think Vince will ever sell, even if he wants to. I think he's going to hang on until he legitimately, physically, mentally, health wise, whatever, can't do it anymore.
I get that though. Like I've, I feel that way with some things of mine. It's like if I built something, I'm like, I don't think I want to give up on this. I've had some people offer to buy BJJ Wiki off of me. It's like, not that it's doing anything for me, but it's
Yeah,
like, nah, it's mine though.
it's your baby.
Like,
You've cultivated it.
it's like this is mine. I have a style to it. I had somebody try to buy my Instagram page from me. They're like, you can keep the name, but we just want your followers. I was like, no, I'm good, but thanks, because I'm not falling for that trick.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. You got to put in the elbow grease. And that's the
Yeah.
thing that I've also realized, and it's kind of a little bit off the topic, but it's like there are certain people that get jealous of others, so they want to take the shortcuts of it rather than getting motivated by other people and be like, you know what, I got this. And I feel like with wrestling or whatever, there's still that, misconception of like, oh, well, I want to put in the cheat code of life and try to figure out a way how I can not put in the work. So, and I think that's what AEW is doing, is they're trying to put in the legwork. They're legitimately trying to do it, but they're also throwing money to the wind. And I think when your principal shareholders, your principal owners are literally being goofy and stupid and trying to tee-hee and giggle rather than taking it seriously, I think that's what's going to hurt. Like Cody stepping down, if that's what he did, I think that's smart, because now he can focus on the day-to-day business stuff, where the Young Bucks, who are supposed to be focusing on this, are too busy trying to be how they were in New Japan, which is crazy, like antics and this, that, and everything. And I know that's their gimmick. I totally get it. Super kick party, yeah, good for them. But ultimately, you got to realize you guys are the boss. Like, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. Otherwise, other people are going to take over. It just flabbergasts me. And like, for someone who wants to buy like your follower base, it's like, okay, you could buy it, but are you going to actually put in the legwork to keep it going? Are you going to keep going, or do you just want it to, because you can then brag up, see, we got however thousands of followers that you have now?
Well, someone, was it 2 years ago? Someone hacked one of my accounts. They took a BJJ move of the day. I logged out. Well, I didn't log out. I'm sorry. I was switching in between accounts, and I tried to switch back, and I couldn't get back in. I was like, what the fuck is that about? And I kept trying and kept trying. Finally, I go to BJJ Wiki, and I click on my link, and suddenly the name changed.
I remember you telling me about that, and I went on there, and it was at like a bar or something like that. Some guy, and I was like, I even messaged him like, "Who the fuck are you? You're not my buddy." And he's like, "What? It's still me." I'm like, "No, you're not my buddy, Dante. Who the fuck are you? How'd you get this?" And then he blocked me.
Yeah, I think he blocked me too, because I went at him a couple times and I got blocked. But didn't know I had 9 other accounts, so I started fucking with him from other accounts. Then I just stopped, because I was like, I'm not getting it back, obviously. But that account, it had 3,500 followers, nothing major, but it was growing. Well,
I'm here with my 1,300. I'm like, dude, I'm baller.
Dude,
it's like, pretty. But I've also haven't been doing nearly as long, and I don't put in the legwork as much as you do.
I think with BJJ Wiki, I got lucky with that. Is the name. Like, the name makes it seem like, oh, this is something official. Like, this guy knows stuff. I don't know shit. But the one thing I do with that account is I'm going to repost stuff, but I'm going to make sure I give credit to whoever I'm reposting. And however it works, it gets seen. They get a push. I get a push. Everybody's winning. But after that account got hacked, I immediately went and set all the other accounts up where you need like the 2-factor authentication. You go through all the other shit, text messages and emails to get into it. And because I've been nervous about that. Because like this was when BJJ Wiki might have been at 30K. So I was like, oh shit. Like I can't fuck around. Because I got lucky to get this. I can't get that lucky again. So, it's always my thing is like somebody wants to, buy my account or, buy my followers. It's like, but what are you doing with it though? Just to say that you have, 50, K it's like it's not doing anything for you. I mean, and maybe there are people that are smarter than me that can make that work. Me, I'm just like, look, dude, I'm just a guy that's selling T-shirts and doing a podcast. I don't got shit else to do with this. I'm having fun with it. The day that I'm not having fun is the day that I stop doing it.
I get it. That's why I stopped doing the podcast with my friends on the previous show I was on. It was like after a while, it became very stressful and very annoying, to say the least, with certain things. Like, so I was on so your fans know, I was on a true crime / paranormal / cryptid / et cetera, like a whole bunch of these different things. And the reason why I say that is because like we covered hauntings, true crimes, everything. Well, I was supposed to come in as the skeptic. So like if we're covering like say the Lake Champlain sea monster or a Bigfoot or whatever, I'm supposed to come in, be the skeptic. No, it's not real. No, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe in the aliens. And the two hosts were trying to, like, the whole premise was they were going to spin it and try to convince me that this could be real. And it got to a point where I'm defending what they're talking about. And one of the hosts is like, well, yeah, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of dumb. I'm like, no, this is like your thing. Like, you legitimately, and I told him one day when we were having a meeting, and I was like, do you legitimately believe in this stuff? He's like, well, yeah. I'm like, then you're supposed to sell it to me because I'm like the everyday fan who doesn't know what you're talking about. I normally am here for like, say, the true crimes or whatever. You got to sell it to me so that way I can be as passionate as you, or it may spark a conversation or anything really. And he's like, oh yeah, kind of. And then the next episode, he was back to doing like my shtick, my gimmick of being the skeptic. And I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm tapping out of this. So we took a break and I told him, I was like, I'm done. And after almost 2 years, I decided I wanted to come back because of you and because of your show of having a more conversational style podcast, because as you know, I have a lot of random shit I can talk about, a lot of things. I bet your fans are sick of hearing my voice because I'll just ramble on about random stuff. But
they're here and they love it.
I hope. Well, they like you because you got that silky voice. I don't know how they'll handle mine. But it's just one of those things where I now have hit that point where it's like, okay, like we talked about, like maybe off air, or if it's going to be in, of just having control over a show. And it's like, I want to have a control over an idea or a concept that is true to me. So when you asked me to be on here, I was like, well, I'm a little nervous because I don't know. I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I know MMA. I don't practice either, but I am a casual fan of both. But I'll have a conversation about anything you want to talk about because, one, you're my buddy, and two, I know we can get in a good flow off of each other. So it's, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling again.
Well, no, that was kind of the whole ideal, though. We've talked about having you on before. My whole thing is always when I want to have guests on, it's like I want to have some kind of a theme. And then I thought, I was like, look, there's not always going to be a theme. Sometimes you just want to talk with friends. And quite honestly, that's a big part of why I started the podcast. Because I haven't, during COVID, I wasn't seeing friends. And I wanted to find a reason to converse with my friends. That's one thing I will always say with people that kind of fascinates me is if I call someone, they won't answer the phone. But if I text them and say, hey, you want to be a guest on the podcast? They'll say yes. And it's really not much different than us talking on the phone. And it's just like, okay. And it's actually even worse because we're recording whatever's being talked about. So
which
I've
is
had
more paranoid for me because I'm like, I don't want to go too wild and reckless because I don't want to be that guy. It's like, oh shit, I gotta edit this out, or hey man, sorry, this show is not going out. This episode's not going out because we got to scramble, or hey, we got to redo it.
yeah, I've had some episodes where I've had to cut out quite a bit just because, I was just having too much of a good time. And I started saying shit that was like, oh, wow, that can come off very, very wrong. So let me go ahead and take that out. Let me go ahead and change this up. Or I've had episodes that I just wouldn't release, period. It was like, yeah, we're just not. I have one friend, I recorded 3 different times with them. It was like, shit, I don't think that we can ever release an episode because we get too carried away, and it's just like, and we're not saying anything harmful. It's just like it's kind of it was fun for us, but it's not fun for anyone else to listen to.
Yeah, because you don't get the inside jokes, or
yeah,
you're not the regular fan is not used to the banter, or even just the word usage. Because there's certain friends that you can be completely who you are, talk how you want to say things, and then if they're used to you having presenter's voice, like the host, that if when you start dropping like certain different things, they're like, wait, what just happened here? This isn't how I want it. This isn't what I expected.
Like when I talk to my wife, depending, sometimes we'll be talking. If I get frustrated, she'll like, ooh, I can hear your accent. And I'm like, oh, fuck. But then I always feel like, am I being fake by, changing my voice? And I'm not changing my voice. My voice is what it is. But it's like when I start getting frustrated and upset, it's like it's a different. Things sound different, and my wife always says that. So I try to be aware of when I'm talking. Also on the podcast, it's like, okay, make sure it's almost kind of like sit upright, don't slouch. That's kind of how I think of it when I'm recording. When I'm recording a podcast, I'm sitting upright. But the second that I can hear that slouch, it's like, all right, you're getting too comfortable with these people. Go ahead and turn it around. Like go back in or edit it out. So that's the beauty of this as well. I can edit a lot of stuff out. But when it's all said and done, though, I like to just think that, I mean, like I told you, I want people to come on to the podcast and just feel comfortable, feel like you can just talk. I want people to be laid back. I don't want anyone to feel like this is an interview style podcast, which to some degree it is, some degree it isn't. I have an upcoming guest in September. He's an MMA fighter with a fight coming up in October, and never spoken to him before, but I recently started following him on Instagram and TikTok. Seems like a very, very interesting character, very funny. Someone else contacted me on his behalf, so that's
I'm kind of excited for this. Now I'm not gonna lie, because I'm kind of curious who it could be. Don't tell me.
I'll message it to you. But it's like I was kind of thrown off, just like having someone reach out to me, because I'm wondering, it's like, should I reach out to him? Because I like to have people on. I like to have a feel for you. I want to have a conversation. I want to know that we can kind of bounce back and forth off of each other.
Yeah, because you don't want, as we talked about earlier, a prima donna type that's like, you can only talk about what I want and how I want, and there's someone who's there. Excuse me, Mr. Sir, Mr. BJJ Wiki, you can't talk about that. My client really does not like that. And also, do you have green M&Ms in the green room? Kind of bullshit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like that's just not my show. And that's don't get me wrong. I'm not Wendy Williams. I'm not going to ask you hard questions. I'm not going to ask you embarrassing questions to make you uncomfortable.
Well, I do have to ask. Do you eat your beef jerky, or not beef jerky? What was it? Your Slim Jim by lighting one end on fire?
What the fuck?
Did you? Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Like, this is who I am. You gotta just ride in the car with me. We're gonna take a random left turn, but I promise we'll come back to it.
I'm in.
Wendy Williams on her show one time was talking about how she eats Slim Jims, and how what she'll do is she'll take out her Slim Jim out of the package, and she'll take her lighter and light one end of it so it heats up and starts to smoke, blow it out a little bit, and then eat it.
Oh, okay.
I shit you not. Like, I'm 95% certain that
I like to
she
just
did that
eat
on
the
her
Slim
show.
Jim,
Uh,
just
yeah, I know.
like Macho Man, snap into it.
Just let her rip.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with her? But
She's a celebrity, and most of them are little goofy.
yeah, true. That's another weird thing too. I could never imagine being. I don't want to say rich. Like being rich is one thing, but being rich and famous is another thing. It's like if I were to win the lottery, I would still be very. I wouldn't. I'd stay in this house. And if anything, if I don't stay in this house, I would pay it off and then give it to a friend. But I wouldn't buy anything crazy. I would buy, something a little bigger than this, just so I could kind of map out the basement different. But other than that, I'm just me. I go work at Dunkin' Donuts. Just
Yeah, remember our conversation talking about if we ever won $1 million, what we do, and you're like, I go work at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm like, why? You're like, because I like their stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna fault you in that, because I'd still go to work at my shithole of a job because I like it. Their insurance.
Well, the thing is, though, I will work at Dunkin' because, like, I I don't have to rely on it. It's like I'm there because I do enjoy customer service. I do enjoy working with people and helping people. So, and people are like, well, why Dunkin' Donuts? So it's like, well, I could work the early morning shift and be out of there by noon. Like, it's pretty simple. Like, I like to rock my day from noon, do whatever the fuck I want to do, go to jiu-jitsu, go coach, stuff like that. But, I wouldn't be a prima donna. I wouldn't be that kind of guy that would say, oh, I can only wear this style of gi, or I could only drink this kind of wine. I would still drink my wine out of a box. That's just how I rock and roll. I would still get the 32 pack of water from Target for $3. Like, I don't even think it's $3. I think it's $1.50 for 32 waters. Like, I would still get that water. Same as money.
I recently saw on Instagram one of those little videos or whatever of people talking, and it was like about how money doesn't change you; it just allows you to be who you truly are. And I was like, I kind of get that, because I've seen people who, when they get a better job or whatever, the first thing they do is their whole personality is different. Or if they're around different, fancy, snooty friends, they get a little bit more pretentious.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so I can clearly tell when you're around these people or whatever, you have more money or whatever. People definitely change. And it's like, for me, I'm always still going to be the big nerdy kid that, is a little bit anxious, a little bit crazy, but in the same breath, I really don't care. Like, I'm surviving with what I currently have, and I'm happy. Like, I don't need a bunch of shit to make me happy.
Yeah, exactly. I had a teammate say to me once, was like, Dante, I know if you win the lottery, you'll buy all the comic books and all the action figures. And I was like, actually, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be fun if I could just buy whatever I want, whenever I want. All my figures, all my comics, they all have a story. And if I could just buy whatever I want, there's no story to that. It would just take the fun out of it. Whereas, I would travel a little bit, not a lot. I'm a very, very basic fucking bitch, dude. I don't do shit, man. All I want to do, I was saying to one of my friends, Paige, who's been a guest on here, BJJ Mama, I was saying to her, I don't know how to relax. I think I'm most relaxed when I'm just doing jiu-jitsu, like drilling a move over and over. That's when I'm most relaxed. It's just I'm able to focus, I'm having fun, and I'm getting to live. Whereas if I'm on, like my wife, the family that she's working with currently, they went up and got this big ass fucking house, $3,000 a night. Like I posted pictures on Instagram a couple of nights ago. I'll send them to you. Just, like this house was fucking ridiculous. So when I fucking pulled up this long ass driveway, like all these bugs are hitting my windshield. I'm freaking out. I was like, I think I'm probably going to turn around and go home. I already drove 90 minutes to get here, but I might drive 9 minutes just to get the fuck back home. I get there. Sarah texts me. She goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just those are just horse flies." I was like, "They need to fly their fucking dumbass somewhere else. What the fuck are we doing out here, son?" So
Horseflies bite. Trust me, I got a welt in the back of my calf from one of those little bastards biting me not that long ago.
oh no,
I'm
I'm
mowing my
aware.
lawn.
I'm very aware. That's why I was like, I'm not fucking around. So, but like once I turned the car off, they kind of cooled down and just went about their business. So I get into the house, and this house is just fucking massively beautiful. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I couldn't. If I'm rich, I'm not spending $3,000 a night for this. There's like no reason for me to do that, especially because it's 90 minutes away. Like, if I'm gonna spend $3,000 a night on some shit, I'm at least going across the ocean, like at least. But like the joke that I kept saying to Sarah as we're sitting there looking at the house, I was like, "Yo, they definitely had slaves here. There's no way they had slaves here. Look at that backyard. That shit looked like it had tons of cotton. You can't tell me there wasn't black people out there picking that shit. Like, don't fuck with me." She was like, shut up. I was like, "No, fuck it, I'm telling you right now. Scouts on her."
Like,
But
give me the history of this property because I guarantee there's some shady shit going on.
I'm looking at trees out back. I was like, "Yo, they probably hung someone from that motherfucker." Like, I was like, "I gotta get out of here." So I was like, "Stop." I was like, "No, I'm telling you, I'm starting to itch." Then I changed. I was like, "Yo, this house is definitely haunted." She's like, "It's not haunted. I know it's not haunted." I was like, "Okay, Ghostbuster." It's just like, settle the fuck down. There's ghosts right now looking over my shoulder as I'm fucking sitting here taking pictures.
Trust me, Zach Baggins will be here with the Ghost Adventures crew wearing all black and going, "Bro, you feel that, bro? Dude."
It's like, just walking around, like the side that she was on, she was like, "This wing alone sleeps 8." I was like,
I don't even have that many friends that I would invite over to my house.
Exactly. I was like, dude, like, honestly, if I won the lottery, what I would do is I would get a cul-de-sac of houses, 6, 7 houses. I would line my friends up and like, "Look, all y'all motherfuckers get a house. You just have to furnish it yourself and take care of the property tax. The rest of the shit is taken care of." And then we'll have the one house in the middle where we all kind of come to meet for celebration, Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthday parties, whatever the fuck we celebrate. But looking at this house that they're staying at, that's kind of what I was thinking about there. It's like, yo, you could put 8 people on this side of the house. And there's like another 8 over here and another 8 up there. I was like, damn. I mean, that's a lot of friends. I don't know that many people. Like, shit.
So this shows the difference in you and I. Like, you do this and have a bunch of people around you and this, that, and everything. Me personally, I would sell my house, get an apartment, because I'm a minimalist at heart. So it's like, I would be like, all right, well, if I want $1 million, I'm definitely not taking care of this house. I'm gonna get rid of everything and I'm gonna move into someplace small and just very little. Like, my wife picks on me. She's like, "Yeah, I don't know if I could do that." I'm like, "Well, it's because of you that I was like, I have all this stuff. And if I was rich and famous, I'd just be like Scrooge McDuck. I wouldn't want to buy anything. I just want a room where I can just look at it and just be like, yep, and walk away."
I feel that at times too. I do feel like I have that minimalist mentality because, yes, I would get a cul-de-sac of houses to have my friends nearby. But that's got to be very selective. It's not just going to be like, off some random. It's like people that I genuinely love. Because, like I said, I want to celebrate those holidays. I want to celebrate birthdays. I want to have like together time. But yeah, back at my house, yeah, not a lot going on. Like, I'm gonna have my basement, my my TV area, and my recording area. I don't really need a whole bunch. To be quite honest, the basement that I'm in right now, if I had to quarantine down here for COVID for 2 weeks, I would be perfectly comfortable. Well, I got to get the toilet fixed down here, but I'd be comfortable just because I got what I need. I got my action figures. I got my TV, I got my laptop, and that's pretty much all I need. Laptop for porn, the TV for UFC, which I could probably watch that on a computer too, but it'd be awkward to have, picture in picture, you know, Usman beating fucking Kobe Covington's face in while,
Again,
you know,
hopefully.
dude, man, look, that fight, that first one was really close, super close. I couldn't tell you who was winning, but when Usman broke his jaw and stopped him,
Karmic retribution at its finest. And I'll be honest, I'm not a big Usman fan. I respect everything he's done. I think he's a great fighter. I'm just not a fan of him. There's something about him that's just kind of love him, leave him, no big deal. Yeah, but for him to do that, I was like, all right, I'm happy. You're my respect, kid.
And that's the weird thing is with Kobe Covington, it's obviously a gimmick.
Yo, yeah.
And he's a really nice dude behind the scenes. And it's like, dude, just be you. But that was the thing. The UFC was going to cut him. And then when he started that gimmick, they kept him because people started paying attention. And that sucks because that's the game. That shouldn't be the game. But
it's like with Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen, when he was in WC, was a quiet, reserved, collegiate wrestler. And same exact thing. Well, his style is that, Mark Coleman, Kerr style, which is get you on the ground and just grind you out. Yeah. Like, oh, that's boring. That's boring. Okay, well, are they winning? And you're going to cut them because they're winning? So, okay, now they got to run their mouth and take it from full WWE style and be a gimmick like with Connor.
Yeah, and we saw where that's going now because this dude is fucking losing his mind. He's got a broken leg. He's sitting there talking, your wife's in my DMs, and it's like, I don't know. That shit rubbed me the wrong way.
I can't stand Connor. Ever since he started the whole talking shit on everything, I was like, okay, I get it. You're trying to be this or whatever. And then he pushed Khabib way too far for a guy who genuinely is just the most humble, like down to earth dude ever. I was like, dude, you're gone way too far. And then when Khabib put up the tweet of, good always conquers evil, and the first thing Connor said is, so COVID, what was it? COVID good then? Because Khabib's dad, passed due to COVID. Yeah. I was like, bro, that is way too far. Like one of my buddies and I talked about it, and he's like me, he's not a Connor fan. He goes, honestly, he's like, I've been in the military. I've said some fucked up shit to people. I don't think I would ever say that. Like that is just crossing way too many lines.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, you gotta, wonder where's that coming from? Because the show is over. So, what are you doing? People are saying after the first fight, they're like, humble Connor got knocked out, so you got to be ruthless Connor. So he comes in trying to be ruthless Connor. And, all the nut huggers out there, like Connor was winning that fight, it's like, no, he lost the first round. One judge gave it a 10-8. I don't, I'm no judge, but I don't think it was that decisive, but he definitely lost the first round. And Connor's the kind of guy, if he doesn't come out quick with that first round, he's probably not going to win any of the other rounds, or he might get one, but you're probably going to beat him. So it's like he comes out there, he's getting his ass beat. It's like, it's not about which Connor comes out there. It's not about the shit talking Connor or the humble Connor. It's about the game evolving, and he's not evolving with it because he's a millionaire now. And
he doesn't have the hunger or the drive to be, back to where he was with it being a champion. He got his double champ, he got that, and then he wanted to make money. You said himself, he's like, I want to make millions and millions. I want to do this. I want to be the most marketable name in MMA or just in fighting, whatever. And I give him credit. He's done it, but also he's somebody that his fame and notoriety has definitely changed him.
Yeah.
Whether people want to admit it or not, it not changed him. It allowed his true character to come out of he's a shit talker. He's somebody that doesn't give a shit about anybody. And he's just likes to instigate.
Yeah, I mean, he's that guy that, he got what like I said, he wanted to make a bunch of money. He got it. He got his money. Doesn't need to be there any longer. No. And that's the thing. I think he could be motivated to, if he wanted to get a world title, I think he could be motivated. Would he get it? I don't know. Because like I said, the game has changed. The game is moving on without him. I mean, you put him in there with Dustin, Dustin knocked him out. And then in that previous fight, Connor was piecing Dustin up, though. Dustin just survived it and then caught Connor. But the thing is, how does Connor do against Justin Gaethje? How does he do against Charles Oliveira? It's like, how does he do against Tony Ferguson?
I honestly think that would be a good fight. There.
I would love that fight.
Like my buddy brought it up to me. He goes, "Think about this one for a retirement fight for both these guys." And I was like, "Well, okay." And he goes, "Tony Ferguson versus Conor. They finally get to fight. They finally get everything." And I'm like, "Yes."
Yep.
Stylistically, it makes sense. Both of them are now injury prone. Both are towards the latter end of their career, and like Tony's crazy, but he's not getting that crazy healing factor like he used to have, or that crazy flexibility. That last fight that he got picked apart, it broke my heart. Same thing with Donald Cerrone. It's like these guys were grinders, like willing to take whatever it takes to win or to fight. It's now like, okay, they either got to cut them or give them one last fight and then call it there. Which,
I don't honestly with Tony. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that guy and Connor. They're going to give Connor whatever he wants.
Uncle Dana loves him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though. Too, it's like, look, you have your cash cow. I mean, when Ronda got knocked out by Holly, Ronda immediately came back and got an immediate title shot against Amanda Nunes, which Amanda Nunes was someone that I was saying that should have gotten an earlier shot anyway. She was on a good win streak. It's like, put her in there with Ronda.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do it. They kept feeding. And this is, I've said this comment before, and I feel like I'm not trying to be offensive. Like, most times I am, but this time I'm not. But when they were putting Ronda in there with these fighters, yes, they were women fighters and they were good, but they were not the caliber of athlete that she was. And, it's almost kind of like putting her in there with soccer moms.
Well, yeah, because I think the most notable threat for her was Miesha Tate. And Miesha Tate, I love her, but she's a wrestler who has some decent hands. Ronda is, she's a straight up old school judoka with decent hands, but you put a wrestler in there, and I'm a collegiate wrestling fan. Like, I love that style. Like, that's one of my favorites to watch. But you put that in there with somebody who knows legitimate submissions and also who has decent stand up, they're gonna get pieced apart. They're gonna get picked apart. And then you have someone who also has that drive and that hunger to be the best.
Yeah.
Like you said, going up against these soccer moms, and it's like, okay, they're destined to fail. Where with Holly is and was a kickboxer whose main focus was piecing people apart and stand up.
Yeah.
And she also had a better camp.
I said to a coworker years prior that Holly Holm would be the person to beat Ronda. And I remembered I said that, but when that match got made, I was like, yeah, Ronda's going to beat that girl's ass. Because Holly's previous two fights, she fought Raquel Pennington. She looked very, very nervous and just not herself. And then she fought Marianne Renault. And she looked good in that fight, but it was like, not beat Ronda Rousey good.
Yeah.
So when that fight happened, I was excited. And then my coworker, she posted on Facebook, shout out to Dante, the only person who said years ago that Holly would beat Ronda. And I messaged her back. I was like, yeah, but to be fair, I picked Ronda for that fight. So good for Holly, though. And, and good for Holly being a fighting champ. They're like, well, she owes Ronda a rematch. And I was like, man, Ronda don't want no part of what Holly has to offer. Holly had already fucking made it so she can't bite into an apple for several months. So
she made her into a meme.
Yeah. No, trust me, I know. I posted a lot of them.
I know. That's why I made that comment. Said that comment, I should say.
It's funny because we watched it at a friend's house, and that friend, he was a huge Ronda fan. And when she got knocked out, me and another one of the guests jumped up and we're like clapping and screaming and high-fiving. And I looked back and I was like, damn, dude, it's kind of rude. But, well, fuck her and fuck him. So whatever it is. But basically what I'm getting at is like Dana is like, okay, well, we'll give Conor whatever he wants. We'll give Ronda whatever she wants. It's like, look, man. There are people talking about, well, Conor and Dustin should fight, one more time. It's like, if it makes sense, yes. But if Dustin goes out there in December and beats Oliveira and becomes champion, like Conor gets nothing. Conor should have to win, just like all the other fighters who had to win fucking 7 fights. Like, how many fights did Khabib have to win before he got a title shot?
Way too many, I think.
Yeah. It's like, put him through that fucking ringer. It's like, I get it, he's a star. And I think that's the thing. That's what I put up a question in my stories. It's frustrating because it's like, you ask for the normies, or not even the normies, but like overall, since UFC came about in 1993, who's, a recognizable face to the public. A lot of people are saying Conor because that's the hot item right now. It's like, but people forget that Tito and Chuck were very recognizable. Chuck because of the mohawk, Tito because
blonde hair in the original OG of the talking shit gimmick against Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. I mean, Ken Shamrock's another one. He had his crossover appeal with WWF. UFC, New Japan, and then Ronda Rousey. That's one that people seem to have just forgotten. But those were people that were, when you said UFC, those were faces that would pop up. So, for general audiences. But I mean, and Conor is also, but I just feel like that's because right now he's the hot item. He fought Floyd Mayweather. But I feel like if I went to my grandma right now and said, if I showed her a picture of any of those fighters and say, who do you think is a UFC fighter or UFC champ? I got a feeling she would probably point to Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, because he carried himself like a fighter, because for him, he was the fighter first.
Yeah.
Where one of my buddies said it best, and now I've kind of adopted it. You can tell who a real fighter is by how they get punched in the face. Look at Andrei Arlovski, look at Conor, look at Tito. You can find people who, when they get punched in the face, the first thing they do is they start wincing and closing their eyes, and they start like hesitating and pulling back instead of just going for it. Chuck was the type, if you punched him and you landed a good shot, he'd look at you, stare at you, and give you the instant receipt back. Because his style was more absorb and counter. And Tito was like everybody else, get you on the ground and pound you.
Mm-hmm.
And then use his mouth so that way you buy tickets to watch him fight and to watch him lose. And with Ronda, everybody wanted Ronda because she was a dominant female. She's relatively attractive, but she also was here's the story of how she was homeless and how she was this and how this and that happened. Okay, so they used her as a marketing tool, and also she was for all intents and purposes, a dominant champion. Okay, like you said, perfect. Everybody loves a winner. But how many of those fans are still fans of hers when she started losing? How many people are still fans of those same exact personalities when they lose? I'm like, okay, prime example for me. Do you know who Jeff Munson is?
Yes.
Most people don't, though. So I'm like, Jeff Munson, I was a huge fan of before he went crazy into the Russian communistic lifestyle, because he just looked different. He was a different kind of fighter, and he was he's kind of a goofball, but whatever. It's these fans who gravitate towards these huge popular names. Are they still going to be fans when they lose? Or are they going to be like, oh, I called it? Or are you going to, tuck your chain and be like, yep, ride or die. I'm with this person. Like, this is my guy or this is my girl. I will be with them till till their career's over. Like, I'm a huge fan of Megan Anderson.
Same.
And she just, she got cut and she's like, okay, this chapter's over. Now time to start a new one. I'm like, that right there is a champion who didn't get the title. Yeah, she didn't get the wins, but she didn't let it get to her. She's like, all right, I lost. How do I get better? Where Ronda, she loses and she takes her ball and goes home, or starts crying and complaining that she was screwed.
Well, that's the thing though too. It's like, are you really a fighter then at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, the only fighter that I can think of off top that took some losses, but people still, consider one of the greatest is Fedor.
And I would throw Randy Couture in that.
So I think with Randy Couture, I think Randy Couture is beloved.
Okay, yeah. Because they still love him because he's the golden boy, like kind of the golden boy before the golden children, I guess, of fighters.
Yeah, I mean, Randy Couture, people love that dude because he was just a genuine dude. He didn't have a gimmick. He just came in there and he would grind and put it on you. And how could you not love that? At least as a fight fan, it's like, I just want a dude that's going to go out there and work. And it's that simple. But Fedor, when he lost to Verdun, it's okay. Still had a big fan base. He lost to Dan Henderson. He lost to Bigfoot. Still had a big fan base. He lost to Mitrione. Still, people still love the dude. But other than that, most people, they start losing. People start walking away. People start. I mean, Conor is still in that boat though too, because Conor has won one of his last 4 or 5.
Yeah, I don't think he's won a fight in like 3 years, 4 years.
He beat Nate, and that was it. He lost to Nate, then he beat him. Then he lost to Khabib. Or I'm sorry, he beat Cowboy. Then he lost to Khabib. Then he lost to Dustin twice. Yeah. So, but people, still love Conor because I think people want to connect and relate to this guy. Like, oh, he's rich. And if I was rich and I was doing what he was doing, if I was fighting like him and rich like him, I'd behave the same way. It's like, would you?
I'd punch an old guy in the bar too if they didn't want to drink my whiskey.
It's like, let me tell you, man, this shit is trash. His whiskey's trash.
He's not even his anymore. He actually is no longer the owner of it.
Really? Didn't know that.
Yeah, last I knew, he pretty much lost ownership of it.
Well, you know what? He's still got a bunch of money, so he's got something for him. But I don't know. It's just when you mark it all down, you say, look, man. Especially for me as just a fight fan, I just want to watch fights, and I want to watch not just it's not even about like what's a good fight versus a bad fight. I just want to see who's the best, whether it be GSP fucking grinding you down to the ground and taking advantage and beating the shit out of you, or whether it's Mark Coleman, it's same thing, getting you to the ground, headbutt you in the fucking chest, and beating the shit out of you. The whole point is like the ideal is that the best fighter wins, whether it be wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, whatever it is, Sambo, whatever it may be. let it be. But whoever wins, wins. I don't care how pretty it is. Like Israel Adesanya, he's an entertaining dude to watch. Very flashy, and he's good. Cool. Keep
Oh
that.
yeah, his. I'll be
Keep it
honest with you,
going.
his fight with Marvin Vittori, I was a big Vittori fan. I liked what he was. I was like, yeah, he could get him. He could get him. No big deal. He didn't have a full camp, but he'll bring the fight to him. That last one, it was Marvin literally let me down on that. And I'm like, I'm still a fan of him, but I've lost respect for him because he still thinks that he could have won. And I'm like, dude, you had a game plan. I followed you on Instagram. I followed you on everything and what you were going to do. And you were too busy focusing on the single leg instead of letting your hands fly. It's like he choked it. And I'm like, I will still support you.
Yeah.
But you got to earn my respect back as a fan because you went in there, choked, and then you still are like, well, I got round one. Dude, it was a 5-round fight, and you crumbled, and you got dominated the whole time. And even you allowed Izzy to do the one thing that you should never allow Izzy to do, which is what people used to let Anderson Silva do. You allowed him to play games with you.
Yeah.
Marvin allowed Izzy to play around and joke, and like with Anderson Silva, that's the worst thing you can do because once they get to that point, you're screwed because now they're not taking you seriously. You lose all the seriousness or the danger of you, and they're like, okay, now I can play. And once I'm playing, cool, whatever.
Yeah, they relax. It's child's play.
Yeah, like it's just that's never a good sign.
No. And that's just the thing too. It's like, look, this dude came out there and he does what he does. He did what he wanted to do. He had a good time. But ultimately, when it comes to fighting, I'm not the biggest Usman fan. He goes out there and he grinds. And Kobe Covington also, their fighting style is very similar. That's why I like their fights. And I can't wait to see it again because this could go either way. But I think Usman has proven that he game plans very well. So I would be shocked to see Usman come out there and, get the win earlier, So, but he's another one. He gets out there and he grinds. Jan Blachowicz, I
love that guy. I just want him to have more. I want him to get more respect.
Yeah,
because I feel a lot of people are like, oh, he's just a goon or whatever. He only got lucky.
I mean, he beat Dominic Reyes, who arguably beat John Jones. I think he beat John Jones personally.
I definitely think it was definitely a very close match that they should have had a rematch to determine.
Yes. I think at best it was a draw.
Yes, I'll agree to that. Absolutely. And I am not a John Jones fan. I feel his attitudes outside of the ring
I think
have disgraced him.
At best for John Jones, it was a draw. But I do think, watching that fight over and over, Dominic Reyes, he was in control of that fight. But Jan, stopped Dominic. And then he Izzy, which that fight was interesting because Izzy was definitely the faster fighter and a more fluid fighter. But then once Jan realized, wait a minute, I'm fucking bigger than you. I'm just going to put you on the ground. Then it became a different game. Mm-hmm. He fights Glover September 25th. So we'll probably be watching the fight here that night. At least I will. I don't know. We'll order that card and watch that. And then I think Valentina fights on that card too. She's fighting Lauren Murphy. No offense, but that should be a very, very quick, easy fight. And then that card is a pretty good card. I can't remember off top, but it's the next 3 months. I think or maybe next 4 months. I think I'm ordering the cards. It's damn, dude. I wasn't really expecting to, and I'm not gonna go and pirate it somewhere because I'm just too lazy for that. I'll just give you the $70.
I'm not even smart enough to figure it out. When people are like, "Oh, you can do this, you can download this," I'm like, I have no idea what words you're talking about.
Yeah, like I did it once and it was fine, but it was just too much. It was too much of a hassle. I was like, I don't want to fucking do this again. And they're like, oh, get a VPN. And I was like, I don't want to do that either.
I don't even understand what that is. And when someone tries to explain it to me, I'm like, don't even bother. I don't. It's not a. It's, I don't need to know.
It's like, are you speaking Japanese? Stop that. Oh, you.
You're speaking tech language. You got to realize I'm basically a caveman that can walk upright.
It's like my tech knowledge stopped in 1995. Like once that year passed, I was like, okay, so you got what, the internet? And I'm out. Like, wait, I can watch porn on the internet? All right, wait, hold on. I might be back. But the rest of that shit, I'm out. But
what the fuck is the internet?
Dude, one of my favorite lines of any movie.
Yeah, buddy.
Like, oh man, I should watch that tonight, but I'm too lazy to fucking find the DVD. So I don't know. Like I think that's my conquering. You know, that I'm conquered by laziness most of the times. Like I want to watch Friday the 13th. Oh no, they're all upstairs. Never mind. I can watch because the only thing that matters in Friday the 13th is 1 through 4. I don't give a fuck about anything else.
I watch Jason X when I get drunk because it makes me laugh. I see it as like a comic book.
Yeah, Jason X, and I will watch Jason Goes to Hell for funsies. But I don't watch them as like, man, you know what I feel like sitting down and watching right now and being entertained is those. I watch those to laugh. So, but I am gonna have some Halloween episodes coming up soon. I think we're gonna attack the Halloween franchise, Friday the 13th franchise,
Nightmare on board.
Streets. I don't know what I'm going to do for the fourth one. It's either going to be Saw or Hellraiser. I haven't decided because I don't have any attachment to Hellraiser, but Marilyn, Phil, and Joe from Nerd Rage, they both love it. So I might have them on and just let them talk. And I'm going to sit in the background and just be like, Hellraiser sucks. Just every 15 minutes, just talk shit. Like, who's that dude with all the acupuncture shit in his face? Like, what's his fucking deal? Like, oh,
what a goon.
Like, that guy? That shit looks stupid. Who's scared of him? Fucking just push him into a wall. Those needles going to go right, like, deeper. Fuck them. So I'm not sure, though, but that's upcoming for Off the Mats. And then this fighter that I will have on very soon. I'm excited because again, he sounds like a fun guy. Watching him on TikTok, he's actually pretty funny, and I've got a few episodes coming up. I've got a bit of stuff in the works, including this episode. So yeah. All right, I think the wine's got me feeling a little fuzzy now. So I think we can wrap up. Seth.
Yes, sir.
For doing this, man. Thank you for being
No, not a problem. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you on this and talk to your fans. Hopefully I did you proud. Hopefully I made your fans happy to have a different voice occasionally.
It'll be all right.
If not, they're
good.
I'm not worried.
I think everyone who listens, they're good people and they're open people in accepting. I mean, they accept me, so they definitely got to be accepting.
Yeah, but you're way cooler than I am.
So let's settle down now. I wouldn't go that far, but we definitely got to do this again.
Absolutely,
it's just good. Like I said, we text all the time. It's good just to actually get the voice and talk, and just like pour our hearts out about things. So definitely want to have you on again. You got any shout outs or mentions you want to throw out there before we get out of here?
Nah, it's cool, man. I am genuinely happy and that you gave me the opportunity, and that's good enough for me. I got nothing to plug. I live a very boring life, like we just talked about. So, I'll plug this show. Keep listening to it.
Well, I'm going to mention your Instagram and get people, taking a look at your models that you're painting over there. Like I can never ever do the detail that you do. Whenever I see you post things, I was like, dude, that looks good. Like,
yeah, it's exercise in mental strength and keeping myself, busy, but also not obsessing over it, and kind of stepping away from that to hit the workout life because I was sick of being a fat slob sitting on the couch.
That too. Yeah, I saw your setup. Looks good. Looks good. You're inspiring me. So hopefully, I'll get my fat ass up and then get back onto the mats and also get some of these weights lifted. I'm sitting here looking at my weights right now. Like my weights are looking back at me like, you bitch. So, but thank you so much for doing this. I do appreciate you.
Not a problem, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And still one of the coolest guys that I know.
Well, thanks. You know what? That guarantees you're going to be back on for another episode.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
As far as everyone else, thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate every single one of you. Like I said, I'm always nervous doing this, so knowing that people are listening, it does kind of ease those nerves. Just knowing, like, hey, someone's getting some sort of entertainment out of it. So thank you. I do greatly appreciate that. I also want to do a big shout out for my good friend Paige, who runs BJJ Mama on Instagram. If you go over to flexpromills.com and use her promo code BJJMama20, you're going to save yourself some money. I did. Delicious foods. Did it a couple times because, I got a couple emails. So, don't judge. Also, big shout out to Armbar Attic. It's a t-shirt, apparel, rash guards, team run by Eric and Allie. They're out of Denver, Colorado. So definitely want to go over and check them out. A great group of kids over there, just, trying to make a name for themselves. And they've got some pretty funny TikToks as well. So definitely check them out. That's Armbar Attic. So otherwise, you know where to find me. BJJ.wiki, Off the Mats Podcast, all on Instagram, also on TikTok, probably on Facebook. I got an email address too. If y'all got any questions, concerns, y'all want to be on the show, feel free to reach out to me. I'm friendly. You can be a guest. I love you all. Otherwise, you all keep listening, and I will continue to make these shows because you like me. You really, really like me. Thank you, y'all. Love you.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.